Hello everyone, it's Cheryl Millett here for your better health. It is Monday and it is 5 p.m. and this is a program that I just want to do every Monday at 5. The various topics come up on so many, a whole different lot of topics, and sometimes they're worth repeating, and a lot of times there are topics that come up during the week that I feel are important to bring up. And really, I can't say this again, there's so many things to actually bring up. And today, I wanted to talk about 3 specific things. One has to do with a book that I purchased at this content sale called Health and Longevity. And this book, now I'm going to try and lift it up here. This book is 15 books in all. And I'll try and lift it up so you can kind of see. It's from 1909, and there you can kind of see. We'll try to get the whole thing in. Hi, Abigail. You can see it's a huge book, and I think it's only about 1,400 pages, but if I got that right. But the idea is it's 15 books, and there's numerous medical doctors that participated in this book. And I mentioned last night when I did a live regarding how some of these older books that I was looking at actually had content, or actually there was an entire whole book that was regarding like self-care. So I wanted to read the chapter, the contents, or the chapter titles, or the books. They're kind of labeled in here by books. It's kind of like a table of content. And because my camera isn't so great, I actually have to turn off the lights. It's a little bit dark. So I actually have, these I use for those business cards that are very, very tiny. And I'd love to use my glasses, which I'll show you. I love to use my pinhole glasses, but the pinhole glasses are little holes. So unless you have very bright light, these glasses, if you haven't heard of them, you can look them up, are pinhole glasses. They're a bunch of little pinholes, but of course you need a lot of light, and that's not what I have right now. Otherwise I'd use these. But by wearing these, you're going to retrain your muscles in your eyes and either get rid of glasses or never have to get glasses, which is what I am hoping to do. Lovely. Hi, Allison. Hey, Abigail. So, table of contents for this book: health and longevity. And that is where most people are at when it comes to health and where they do things. It's anti-aging. And here they call it longevity. And again, these are medical doctors that have written all this. And you're going to find the first book very interesting. It's actually called Healthy Dwelling Houses. So remember, this book is I think it's 1909, and it's absolute authority on every subject. So here you go, Healthy Dwelling Houses, and this has to do with ventilation and heating, lighting, water supply, and removal of refuse. So there's all these different words that we don't use that often, but really in a lot of cases when we think about in the past where the plague existed, there was much about the way we needed to have clean water, clean space. Back then, and it was in Edinburgh, and we went down these, what do they call them again? It'll come to me. They're like alleyways, but they have closes, that's what they call them. And back when, they used to there'd be a time in the morning when everybody'd be throwing out their stuff to go down the streets and probably into the river. And there was a time, and there was this phrase they used to call out: nobody wanted to be walking down these closes, which are these kind of alleyways in this time Edinburgh, but it probably is the same for other cities. But be healthy dwelling houses, that's so important. What do they say today about houses? The air outside, even if you're in a big city, even if I'm in Toronto here, unless it's really, really bad. And they say about much of what's in the houses is toxic, the outgassing from carpeting, clothing even, wood, all of those things. And of course, they seal tight houses, better insulation, triple pane, double pane windows. You don't want to hear the noise. So there's all of this that seals tights our houses, which actually, because they have all these chemicals it's not a good idea. Not a good idea. So we want to have that fresh air, which is why they'll say go out and get fresh air. Prevention and diseases. So the book 2 is actually prevention of diseases. What a concept! We're going to prevent disease. And this is what the medical doctors here are talking about. Then book 3 is the human body, mannequin of, and marvelous wonders of the human body. So now they're teaching about the human body, right? So really need that in school, actually. That would be great. And it's there's three chapters. Yes, the human body, the internal wonders of the human body, and sight, hearing, and touch. The book 4 is anatomy and physiology. Book 5 is mystery of life, disease, and death. How interesting is that? Book 6 is diseases and their cures. Diseases and their cures. People, I would love to read this book tomorrow and then share everything with you. I can't think of anything better to do than share things they might have known in the past that they're not using today, and be rather using pharmaceutical drugs, right? So diseases and their cures, eruptive diseases, constitutional diseases, nervous diseases, diseases of the eyes, ear, nose, diseases of the circulatory and absorbent systems, diseases of breathing organs, diseases of the digestive system, urinary system, skin diseases, diseases of bones and muscles. And did you know that there's not even a doctor for muscles? So if you have issues with your muscles, there's no medical doctor. At least that's what I'm reading. There's no medical doctor that specializes in muscles. And there's also a new organ, which is in my book, by the way, a new organ, not found too long ago. So chapter 7, or book 7, diseases and care of children. So this is about mother's care during pregnancy, and then the children as well. So book 8 is Adults Department. What an interesting title, Adults Department. Remember, this book is from 1909 for those who've just come on board. Book 9, good thing I know how to read Roman numerals. Most kids today didn't learn Roman numerals. Book 9, diseases peculiar to women. And then physical culture and bodybuilding. Physical culture and bodybuilding. Let's just see what sections they have here. General influence of exercise, gymnastic exercise. That's part of, I think that's part of gymnastics, bodybuilding. What's that? The gyms that they have. Oh, geez, I can't. Okay, it'll come to me. Calisthenics and recreational exercises like the sports and pastimes. So they have roller skating. So roller skating's been over 100 years. Swimming, skating, riding, probably horseback riding, and dancing. And book 11 is properties, preparation, and uses of medicine. So inorganic, organic, minerals, organic, which would be vegetable, and all kinds of things here. I mean, underneath there, they have all these lists of herbs, including celery. That's one of my favorite vegetables. If you like celery, I can't say enough about celery, especially for your stomach. It's got a certain sodium, and we need sodium, and there's this sodium-potassium play within the cells and outside of the cells. So that's interesting. Yeah, and it says here another section there under the chapter 11, preparation for use of special medicinal plants, or they say medical plants here, like peach leaves. Anybody ever hear about that? Peach leaves. Of course, cayenne pepper. So there's probably some very interesting things in here. Home treatment. So book 12 in this Health and Longevity, written only by medical doctors back in 1909. Book 12 is Home Treatment and Care. And home administration of medicines, ideal home medicine chest. Oh, there's actually a lot here. Salt in medicine, lemon in medicine, garden plant remedies, dictionary of drugs, and how to make tinctures, quick and easy method of telling complaints by symptoms, home care of the aged, and so forth. There's actually a little bit more as well here. Kerosene as a home remedy. Anybody ever hear about that? Kerosene? I'm just thinking kerosene lamps. Yeah, many things here. So book 13, food and drink requirements. So general considerations, physiology of nutrition, structure of organic bodies, mixed diet required. Doesn't say much there, but diets for various diseases. So fevers, liquid meat foods. Interesting. To do with influenza flu, scarlatina, diphtheria, measles, constipation, diarrhea. So this is going to go into perhaps the food and drink requirements there. And book 14, the second last one, it's accidents and emergencies. So a table of poisons and antidotes. And number 2 is poisons and antidotes. And contusions and wounds, anesthetics and soporifics. Interesting. And now book 15, XV, it's in Roman numerals. This one's interesting, and this has got all kinds of sections on it. And this name of book 15 is What Do You Do in the Absence of a Doctor? So some of the things here, they have quick cures for all diseases, and healing of special schools, healing by special schools. So hydrotherapy or water cure. Interesting. Have you ever heard that water cures everything? I don't know if anybody here has ever heard that water cures everything. There's a particular story about a doctor who did not have his medicine with him, and all he had at his disposal was water. And I can't remember exactly all that was going on, but there was some distress there, some digestive pain and stuff like that. And he went on after that, he was very curious, went on after that to actually use water. And I'm not sure if this is the same doctor, but to use placebo pills, and got great results with his patients. Of course, they were so pissed off at him. Actually, that story is in my book. But massage, mental healing, eclectic medicine, electricity in medicine, interesting. German home medical treatment, Japanese methods of healing, osteopathy. So osteopaths, they've been around for however long, but they're surely in here. There's a lot of illustrations, but that's the 15 books. Of course, for you guys, Ivan and Diana, hello. For all you who didn't see this book, I'm going to lift this book up. So it's 15 books. It's all written by medical doctors. The book is Health and Longevity, and it's 1,400 pages, but these pages must be much thicker. I'm going to lift it up so you can see it. And I was just reading through, so you can see how I'm bringing it up here. Oh, pretty colors in that. It goes all the way around, but it's definitely not something I can bring out and kind of open up and show and hold it up and do that. But today I did want to go through that book because I did want to point out just where the focuses were well over 100 years ago and further. in medical books, not just this one, but I found it in other books too. So I was really excited to get this at a content sale. The other thing that I wanted to bring up today is something that, something that I've kind of tuned into over the years, and I've listened to doctors of the past. And this has to do with mammograms. Mammograms, obviously women, but men can also have them too if they are, I guess you could say, overweight or obese or have that. And men have breast cancer too as well. So they actually have it too as well. So this is for everyone, and for those here that know women in their life or have women or daughters or mothers even. Quite often mammograms, I've never had one, so I can't tell you how uncomfortable it is, but I've surely asked hundreds of people, most women. I don't know any men that have gotten it, but mostly all women, and they say, of course, if they're big-breasted, extremely painful. Now I'm going to tell you a little story about a doctor that I actually stumbled upon his video. I don't know if I have it somewhere or if I can find it again, but this was a number of years ago, probably a decade or so ago. But the idea was this doctor who was taught as a medical doctor, and he probably taught, I know by his age, I'm just going to guess 40s, 50s maybe. And he said in the video, he was very concerned about the mammograms, which is why he did the video. And he said when he was in medical school, the one thing that they were told never to do was actually to press on the breast tissue. Never to do. And he was shocked that they were doing this. And I don't know if you've even heard, mammograms can actually cause cancer, right? It might be on the electrical side as well, might be on the pressure side. That's a trauma. Anywhere you get significant pain like that, that's a trauma on the tissue. But also what I'd like to kind of inject here, which most people aren't aware of, is the fact that these highly refined processed fats, see, our breast tissue is also very fatty tissue there, as well as the brain and the liver. And if we're consuming a lot of these vegetable oils, these highly processed vegetable oils, like canola oil, sunflower oil, soybean oil, what other ones? You probably, oxidize other ones like these poorly made olive oils. And so there's all these vegetable oils that are refined, bleached, and deodorized, and a couple of other things. And what we're doing by consuming all of them is we're replacing our healthy fatty tissue in our body with these sub-quality, poor quality fats. And some scientists believe that some of the crazy stuff that's going on is all these unhealthy fats. But we're not getting in healthy fats. So if you're just taking in fats, and we need the omega fats or the fatty acids, the polys and what they call it. I'll do a talk more on that, but I'm going to point out some things on mammograms here that this book talks about, facts about mammograms. And it's interesting that it's optional to get mammograms, although they talk to it. And then, of course, I don't even know if it's in here, but I'm going to read these few things and then I'll mention a couple of other things. But X-rays that you're exposed to, of course, increases your risk of abnormal cell growth, mutated cells, cancer. But one standard mammogram test results in approximately 1 rad, which is radiation absorbed dose, exposure, which is about 1,000 times greater than that of a chest X-ray. So 1,000 times greater than chest X-ray. And the National Cancer Institute reports that among women under 35, mammography could cause 75% of the breast cancer in every 15 that it identifies. That's a lot of stats there. And a Canadian study found that 52% increase in breast cancer mortality in young women who have received annual mammograms. There's a lot of crazy things going on here. I'm not going to read the rest of them, but there's a number of studies, and you go on to review more. I think the logic here that I get from that doctor speaking was we should not be pressing and having that much pressure on breast tissue, number one. Number two, the exposure to unwanted, let's call it radiation, and ongoingly is possibly the cause of cancer, because they say that cancer takes decades to kind of build up, and that would fit into the root cause of disease, tumors, everything. It just kind of, is building up, and maybe there's, an opportunity. We want to have early detection. Of course you want early detection, but the idea is we've got to understand self-care here. We've got to understand prevention. We've got to get to more of having our body actually be promoting or getting rid of those mutated cells, right? So those particular cells will be taken out of the body if the body is ready. If the body is healthy enough, it will actually take them out of the body. Now, what I wanted to show you is a couple of pictures here, because I was talking quite extensively yesterday about the toxins in the body, the colds and fevers and things like that, and getting all that mucus and toxins out of the body, no matter where they come. And so I just wanted to show you a couple of pictures. I want to speak a little bit about iridology as a tool that we have that exists. So yes, I've got a degree in holistic nutrition, which is really just the platform of being able to understand that we have nutritional deficiencies. Absolutely, that can be a cause of symptoms, not sleeping even, and many other things as well. The things that our body requires to have proper building of new cells and proper elimination, right? All those essential nutrients. And this tool, Iridology, kind of gets into the toxicity. So if we're thinking cancer is actually kind of coming on board decades before it actually shows, there's a way to do this well at any age. I've actually looked at eyes that are of a 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, and you could see the digestive system was completely offside with built-up toxicity, and the elimination organs, be it liver and gallbladder, and those things, and kidneys, weren't actually working that well. And you could see there's like what we call it central toxemia within this 8-year-old and within 10-year-olds. And there's kind of additional information in your eye. This is just a color part of your eye to actually understand where that toxicity is kind of coming in. There's other things. There's like a big world. Your whole body is, through your nervous system, is communicating through your eyes. It's brilliant. I'm going to see if this picture will come up clear, but this picture is going to show you just how toxicity and central toxicity will actually show up in a person's eye. Quite fascinating. Ivan Carr, I had one done for lumps. Mammogram. Okay, Ivan. And it was not cancer, and just a little pressure from being squeezed between plates. Okay, a little pressure. Good little pressure. Well, I think the smaller you are, the better you are. And when you get bigger, maybe there's more dense tissue, right? There's that happens as well. So, but good to hear you didn't feel any too squeezing. So I'm going to show you this eye. I'm not going to be able to see you, but I'm going to come to the side here. So as you can see here, there's all that orange, right? And you can see those spokes coming out from the pupil. And those spokes are like toxicity coming from the digestive system. It's probably been sitting in the digestive system, food and elimination waste and stuff that come through our large colon. But you can see that quite clearly, lots of toxicity there. Might be able to see a little bit closer there. And, that's just the colors that kind of can come up. They can be whitish, they can be yellow, pale yellow, orange, different colors of orange, different degrees of orange. And that all speaks to like the elimination organs in the body, the gallbladder, the kidney, the liver, the pancreas. And that's so that's kind of that. I want to show you one other one, because the one thing that I think it's great for people to get some an iridology, at least photographs, a short reading. I used to do readings for a couple of hours, but I found that there's really some very simple core things that need to be brought forward, and anything else that I can see that's pertinent. And so half an hour is really kind of what I do when I do, we call them iris readings. It's iridology. And I've done some fairs where I've had corporations hire me, and you have a long lineup of people wanting to come to get their photos taken, and I spend, I think it's like 10 minutes with each person, and it's a long lineup. And but I lost my voice, so it's not necessarily a good thing to do. For one of these corporate events in a big room, I think I was speaking for about 4 to 5 hours with people, so that was cool. Cool and fun to do with people, and very fascinating, and things that they confirm back to you that you tell them. So it's really interesting that way. When I talked about iridology the other day, I talked about it's the Constitution. And this is an important factor for most people to understand. What is your Constitution? I'm going to show you a picture of an iris here that has a very weak Constitution. And this speaks to you understanding that, and what do we do with that information to help and to help prevent and things like that. So I'm going to show this. The other eye that I just showed with the toxicity actually had a much stronger Constitution, and this one is kind of like a weaker Constitution. So let's show this up. You can see it's a beautiful blue eye, but we liken it to, I'm just going to kind of bring it in. You can kind of see where there's a lot of spaces, a lot of, we call them gaps, lacuna. And the more that you have of this, so just think of this as kind of like your connective tissue. And it's not like this other eye, which you can see the fibers are very close together. See how they're like straight here? So I'm not sure it's good there. It's like straight here. And the other ones were kind of holy. I'm going to show you just one other easy thing to speak to, which is the tension in the body, or the stress that people might be getting in the tension. We can think of it as tight muscles, but the iris will actually show it. You can't argue with it. It's there. And I've had people say, yes, I'm under a lot of stress, but they don't hold the stress, or their body's not holding their stress. And it's a very, very another, we'll call it markings, right? Markings. And so I'm just going to show you here. So, you can kind of see it from here, that light, but there. So you can see all of these rings, right? Now this is kind of backwards. You can see all these rings here. Lots of rings. Several, right? Rings that go all the way around, but sometimes rings may have a little bit of spaces and gaps. But those rings are what we call stress rings, tension rings. And some people will say, I'm cool with stress. I don't have much stress. And then you look at their eyes and you see several of these rings, and you know at some level that there is tension being held. And they just, again, it's your interpretation of what tension is, interpretation of symptoms even. All of us have that kind of way of looking at anything. And but the eye kind of speaks to that. So I had a great idea for this coming year. I'm actually going to do iridology clinics. An iridology clinic will be a way to provide education on what iridology is for those people interested. And then I can just take pictures of their eye. So they don't want to get a reading per se. And I've done this several times, big health food stores, like I say, parties and stuff like that. But an iridology clinic will at least teach people what it's about and what it can show you, what it can't show you. And yes, the main markings, what do they look like? What do they mean? Just the map of the eye too as well. So you have a general idea of how it actually works with the whole development of the embryo in the womb. It's actually connected to that. Very cool. And then around the iridology clinic, actually I could fit in some readings. And that might be over time as I do them more regularly. There'll be some people who want to kind of come back and spend 30 minutes and do something like that. So I've done this at at clinics before too as well, but it's really cool. And I welcome you to have, if you have children or grandchildren or anything like that, there's no bad time to do iridology. It's never too late, so to speak. But even younger children, just to see kind of where their constitution is, see how their diet and their lifestyle has been faring for them, is to get their eyes done. I'm going to say probably 5 years old. You'd probably do it sooner if you know things were going on with the child. It's just a matter of getting a clear photo of their eye, and I can do it younger for sure. So, and then that's actually a benchmark, even if we wanted to think of it as a benchmark. All the iris photos, I always send them to people, so you have your copies, and I actually keep my copies and then have them on backup as well. But they're there. I haven't really had anybody lose them. Maybe one person computer crashed or something, but the idea is they're there, and then we'll have a benchmark, because some of the markings that show up are actually something you're born with. It's part of the constitution. So you may have a constitution for poor circulation, and but poor circulation is going to show up in a marking, and that can show up. And when that comes about, we would know, is it part of the constitution? What do we need to look for in that marking that has changed? Because it will change color. It may go from whiter or gray, or some yellow in it, that kind of stuff, and we can look for that. But it's really cool. Iridology is really cool. So that's really what I wanted to speak about today. Have a little fun talking to what's in this 1909 Health and Longevity book. And I can't wait to pour through it. But in good time, there's actually a few books that I want to pour through, ones that has to do with muscles and knots. And people are familiar with knots in their muscles. And how does that, how does that interfere with the health? And it does very much so. I talked with mammograms. And for those who are getting mammograms, there's an alternative solution. Now, I haven't gotten it done, but I have seen it done. I've seen many presentations, is thermography. And the way thermography works, if you're not familiar with this, you can go from having mammograms to thermography, is that the color of the body shows in, think of, well, black is kind of dead tissue, but or less vibrant, and but then you get blues, which is cooler, and then you get into yellows and greens, and then yellows and oranges and red, almost like the rainbow. You can think of the rainbow, and red being very fiery. And then there's dark, and either side of it, and if you can think of a lot of heat, there would be inflammation. And probably somebody's going to use or go to see thermography. They're going to know a whole lot more than I know. But the idea is that you can kind of see where this tissue is black, very dark. Just think of it as it's not live tissue per se. It's not vibrant tissue. And in the iris, for the iridology, there's a little bit of that too going on as well, using the darkness that comes through, and then the brightness that comes through. But no colors of the rainbow, I can tell you. No colors of the rainbow in the iridology. But so thermography, when it comes to getting a mammogram, is a very healthy and safe alternative. And you can do the whole body in that case. I mean, cancer just doesn't happen in the breast. It happens other places. So you can absolutely kind of have your whole body. In fact, it was thermography. I have to tell you this, and this is something that stuck with me. My daughter was in a music class, and I went to this oxygen bar. I don't know if they have any here anymore, but it was up Yonge Street. And I go for a shot of oxygen. So you have little tubes in here, you wear it around here, and you got tank behind there, and you can have a nice juice and a smoothie. But also at this oxygen bar, they had a clinic in the back. They had a couple of rooms, and you could actually rent a room. I did with a friend, and we had 2 beds, comfortable kind of lounging beds with a fish tank lit up there, and we were getting our oxygen. We had little tables, we could have our drinks. So just rather at the bar, you could have it in a peaceful room. But behind there were the couple of rooms, and I ended up getting thermography done, now that I think of it. And there was something regarding the liver. It was darker. And I don't want to say it was brown, but it was, I can't remember if I saw it, but it was in the congestion, and it always stayed with me because this would have been almost 16 years ago. It always stayed with me, which is probably why I got on the thing around liver cleanses and all that kind of stuff. But, there's so many processed foods I ate as a child, good Lord. And then I almost died as an infant, home from the hospital. I know we all have stories here, probably a ton of stories, but I was told that the apartment was at my aunt's place, or my father's aunt's place, and I had the second floor, and they repainted, I don't know if they repainted the entire place or they did a lot of painting, and back then they had the oils of really smelling paint. And here I'm an infant coming home, and I had convulsions and so forth. I guess they must have spoke to 911 or somebody, and they ended up having to throw me into this ice bath with ice cubes to stop the convulsions. And my mother told me it was because of the paint, the toxic fumes that they had just done. It didn't know any better. New parents, young parents, mother was 19 at the time, and well, there you go. So my mother would say, I don't know if she's being Miss Drama or not, but she said I almost died, whatever that means. But the idea is, I don't remember a thing, nothing. But maybe, there's something to toxicity that you get from your parents, if you don't know this already, that if the parents have a lot of toxicity in there, especially the mothers, they will actually be filtering through all this, the blood and everything, and it'll be passed down to the child. Actually, I've heard from Dr. Guinaud of France, when I did the women's studies here in that BP probably 11, 12 years ago, where they say it is, the baby is somewhat of a filter, and will filter some of the toxicity so that the mother actually feels healthier because the baby has taken some of it and then go through that processing. But just, keep in mind, this stuff kind of happens. It's all part of it. It's just the way the body works, just the way the body works. So it's great to know how the body works. And many other things can be looked at a little bit simpler than I think we think. That's what I keep, saying, simple, simple, simple. And there you go. And iridology, come and check out one of the clinics, or get a group together, 10, 15 people, and come and kind of just learn so many things. Again, it's prevention, it's constitution, stuff that the medical doesn't use. And, it might actually be much better than waiting the months and the years that some people take to get diagnosed, right? So the diagnosis, if you don't know this already, can take a very long time. And that's a long time for people to wait. It's very stressful, very stressful sometimes. And iridology can actually be very instrumental. But it's not that you drop one for the other. You use it as complementary, because iridology is very simple. It's non-invasive, easy to do. It's quick, and it's very thorough. I mean, it does follow what's currently going on in your health, but also the Constitution. And so that's great. And that's all I want to talk about today. I know it's a lot. I see it's over the 30 minutes here, but health and longevity, who doesn't want optimum health? That's, quality of life for sure. And mammograms, learn your other options, and just how problematic. If you're just coming on board, then you can listen to the rest of it. But there's issues with mammograms affecting the tissue there. And iridology. Iridology. So I'll post some things once I get my plan and action with presentations, iridology. What else did I plan on doing? Some demos, especially to do with those knots, demos to do with YDAN, a very simple exercise, 19 moves only. Been taught for thousands of years, and now that I've been doing it for several years and even teaching teachers to do it, very, very easy to do, 20 minutes, but it makes a difference to get the circulation going, the lymph going. So they have moves there where it's kind of getting the liver. There's a couple of them in specific that I'll actually get stuff flowing out of the liver first thing in the morning, because there's that time in the morning where the liver is doing its cleansing and things like that. Yeah, so some suggestions in around any of this, especially the liver and the digestive system liver, is actually not to eat late at night. So that's some homework. And when I say late at night, you best give your body 3 to 4 hours before you lie down to go to bed that you have nothing in your stomach. Nothing. So you haven't been consuming anything. And for some people, it might be a bit longer because of the slow digestive system. So it's going to play with the time there. But you ideally want to go to bed with an empty stomach and, drink some water, but don't drink a lot of water. That's why most people are getting up at night. They forget to drink their water during the day. They end up piling on the water a few hours before they go to bed, and they have to disturb their sleep once, twice, 3 times, and they wonder why. There might be other things at play, but just that alone, drinking too much water is crazy. So learn to drink your fluids and your water before your last meal, and sip water in the evening if you need to, no more than a half a glass, that kind of thing. And these are just very basic things, but just play with it, play with what works with you. So I'm happy to take some questions here. And yeah, if you came on a little bit later, you probably do want to go and watch the rest of it, maybe with that herbal tea in hand, and look at just, they're all prevention things for everyone and things you can pass along so others can. And as I read that big 1,400 page book, Health and Longevity, I will poke some things in because I don't think I can really fit anything more into my book, All Guts, All Glory. It might be that I just do a book that's on a series of stories and a series of things that kind of bring in this old, I don't want to call it old, long time things that were out. But take care, everyone. It's the holidays, so happy holidays. Make sure you find time to relax, give yourself a break, some time, some peace, some quiet. Bed early on the nights you don't have those parties, and when you can, just to, help with digestive, help with the busy nervous system, immune system. And know that if you eat a lot of sugar and you drink a lot of alcohol, that definitely water to help with the elimination of those toxicities, right? Because, yeah, that's very helpful. So, I'll just say 1 glass of water for every drink that you have. So a glass of wine, drink a glass of water. Beer, drink a glass of water. Remember, this was one of my bosses was actually an NHL hockey player, and he was one of the boys, and he'd be going to have beer, and then he'd feel it the next morning. And what I told him was, you should be drinking a glass of water for every drink of alcohol that you have. And don't ask any questions, just order a glass of water every time you order a drink. And when he did that, he could not believe the difference. So just do that. Right? Just do that. So now you got 2 things kind of here. You've got drinking alcohol, drink water, and try to get an empty stomach before you go to bed. That might mean 3 to 4 hours before you go to bed. You can play with it, but that'll be very helpful for your liver to do all the, the cleansing, all of that kind of stuff during the night. And that's very helpful. So lots of helpful things. I'd rather kind of, when I do consultations, the idea is to go through many of these simple things that can just create a healthier lifestyle. And so even though, I have a degree in holistic nutrition, the idea is it's not just about the food that you're eating. It's also how you eat it and when you eat it and how much you eat it. All of that kind of is helpful. And with each of us, we're going to be unique. We're going to be unique, and we're going to be unique based on our own things that we're doing, our constitution, our lifestyle that we've had since we were young, certain things that might have happened, accidents, traumas, those kind of things make a huge impact on the health as well. I do a trauma chart. I think it's very important to kind of capture where things happen. And maybe next week I'll speak about dental, because dental health is huge, huge, huge in how it affects your health, affects the rest of the body, just like the eyes and iridology is actually a map of your whole body. The teeth is as well. And there's a lot of key things, but I'm going to leave it for that today. I'll write that on a note here to talk about dental health, because I can't say enough about the dental health and how that can impact your health. And you might think it's something else, and it's not even that. It could even be something to dental. Somebody mentioned last Live at 5, and I just want to bring this up and show. They actually saw this bottle on the shelf. And no, I'm not drinking. I'm not drinking alcohol while I'm working. This one's newer, so you might see that there's some long sticks in there. They're actually vanilla bean pods. So I'm actually making vanilla, and this is my second batch. I'm hoping that these vanilla bean pods are actually still of use. I might take them out, open them up a little bit, and see what happens. But if you take a Mickey of something like this and you have a few pods, then, because they don't last too long if you have them, that's my understanding. You can't just, maybe you can freeze them or you take the vanilla out, but they don't last very long. They may go moldy. But now, so all I have to do is just shake it. But in the house, in the cupboard, I wasn't shaking it very often. So I brought it out here in the office so I can remember to shake it, whether it's once a day or twice a day. That was better than once or twice a week. But yeah, homemade vanilla. Who knew? It's very expensive, that stuff now. So if you go to Mexico, make sure you stock up on some vanilla, and maybe experiment with getting some vanilla bean pods too, and try making your own. But how fun! In fact, I'll just leave you with this very quick story. Stories, got lots of them. I overheard from somebody who works with people who have drinking problems. And not that I want to give any of you this idea, because I'm not sure if everybody knows this. They actually, because this has alcohol and they sell vanilla in the grocery stores, alcoholics were actually, when they were banned from liquor stores, were actually going into the grocery. Somebody at Loblaws told me this. We're going into the grocery stores and buying vanilla and drinking vanilla. Who knew? I had no idea. But I do know from working at Loblaws when we had Bo's company, and they used to make all of these extract, vanilla extract, and they would sell them to, they had all kinds, they had nuts and everything, and their biggest clients were like something like a Dairy Queen, and they had this separate room. So I'd go over there. I used to get 5 kilos of nuts and stuff at Christmas time, and they had this special room all locked up that had all of the alcohols in it, like all of the vanillas, all of these extracts in it. They didn't make it there, but they would get them from somewhere and then do that. But they had to keep those locked up because they're alcohol. And so when he said that, I'm going, yeah, that's, there's a lot of, it's just alcohol basically. And that's how they extract the flavors, the vanilla flavor is using alcohol. It's the one way to do it. Tinctures have alcohol in it too. The herbal tinctures that I took for the liver cleanse, it's an alcohol base. So I was taking a couple of teaspoons in the morning, a couple of teaspoons at night. But that's the way they're able to extract and make it more potent, these herbs. But I want to wish everybody a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week, healthy week. Take care of yourself. If nobody else is, you gotta do it. And I will still be, will I be around next? Yes, I'm planning to be around next Monday for sure. So there shouldn't be any break, but you might not be. You might be busy doing family stuff or shopping or parties or whatever. You might be off for that couple of weeks. So if I don't get to wish you a happy holiday or Merry Christmas or season greetings or Happy Hanukkah, what other ones? There's that African one. I'm not sure if I'm going to say it correctly, so I'm not even going to try. But all those different Joyeux Noël for those who are French. And so have a great time. Take care of yourself. And Live at 5 next week for sure. Most of you know who I am, Cheryl Millett. But yeah, so education, education, education. So take care. Bye, everyone. Any questions, please post them. Anything you'd like to share, share if you think this is going to help anybody. Best of health. Bye for now. See you next week.